This beer was my first craft stout back in 2018 and recently I was not overwhelmed by it. There was just a lack of the heat, the spices and just everything that I'm looking for in a great Mexican hot chocolate stout. So I brewed one up myself to make it even better. But did I succeed? And what do professionals think about that beer? Let's find out. For this brew day back in March, I was joined by my good buddy David and his dog, Hansen. Hello. But let's talk grains for now. This was a huge grain bill with more specialty malts than I would normally use. In total, I used 9.1 kilograms or almost 21 pounds of grains in a 5.5 gallon or 22 liter batch. 58% of Vienna malt along with 15% Maris Otter as well as 10% light Munich provide the base flavors for this beer. The Maris Otter was just a leftover grain and I doubt it made a big impact on this beer, so feel free to replace it with Vienna if you don't have it on hand. The roasted malts were almost 4% each of Brown Supreme from the Swan malting out of Netherlands and pale chocolate malt to boost nutty and biscuity aromas, as well as 3% roasted barley and 1% Carafa Special 3. This grist really made the beer come out rich and chocolatey, but still extremely drinkable. But there's one secret how the chocolate was so prominent in this beer that I will reveal later on. After we milled the grains, we were in for a treat, a barrel-aged Imperial Stout. I used my ion exchanger to get basically RO water and well, I didn't connect the hoses properly, as you can see in the video. Oh fucking hell, I'm so big. Of course I added some water salts to fine-tune my water profile. And then it was about time to get the grains stowed in.
No, apparently I can't.
This took a good 10 minutes and we even needed to leave some water out in order to fit in the massive amount of grains into the kettle. That water was used later on to sparge. We left the mash going for 90 minutes to make sure the conversion was done and well, to have another beer.
Do I have four?
Yeah, oh man.
Which one?
Yeah, that one. While the wort was straining, I switched the controller to power mode to get the wort to a boil.
Did you pop it down?
Yeah.
After sparging we were kind of hungry, so it was time for some cheeseburgers.
Yeah, no. Steak burger.
Cacao nips?
Cacao nips? Yeah.
On the burger?
There you have it.
Okay.
Grab it. Heavy?
Yep. The pre-boil gravity was 1 Plato or 4 gravity points short, but the lactose and the boil itself will bump it up anyways. It wasn't long until the wort reached a boil and I could add the bittering hop addition. Of course you can find the full recipe in the description of the video.
Pallet Sour Magnum Tango.
35 grams, yep. And because this beer was brewed back in March, I didn't have the mini unis wall mounted, so harvesting yeast was a bit tricky. I eventually just lifted the whole thing up, which was not the smartest move, but I wanted to harvest the yeast, the verdant IPA for the stout. Okay, nice. Not too shabby. Gladly nothing severe happened and we could harvest enough yeast for this batch. Oh, fucking hell. Now back to the brew day. We added the remaining hops, the lactose, the wort chiller and the cacao nibs. Now you might be thinking, why the hell would I add the cacao nibs to the end of the boil instead of after the fermentation? Well, a fellow homebrewer and a friend of mine did a series of test batches where he added cacao nibs to different stages of the brewing process. And he found out that the one with the most prominent chocolate flavor was where he added the cacao nibs to the end of the boil. It does lead to a little bit of astringency, but that does fade very quickly. The wort has been now chilled, and finally it was time to knock out the wort and pitch the verdant IPA yeast from null malt. It's actually pretty cool. Let's do it for a couple more seconds. Alright, just do it. Wow. Not spilling a drop. Okay, 1 drop. The fermentation was already done after 7 days, but I left the beer a little bit longer at room temperature to make sure the yeast cleans the beer up properly. And now it was about time to add the rest of the adjuncts to the stout. For this I opted to use vanilla beans that I sliced open beforehand, 1/2 of an Amberana wood spiral, coffee beans and 1.6 grams of habanero chili powder. The chili powder provides a clean heat and a subtle fruitiness that pairs extremely well with the chocolate and the vanilla present in this stout. Using the powder instead of actual peppers also helped to prevent getting a vegetal flavor. Another benefit is you don't need to add a lot of it, but you get great flavor and heat. I left the beer conditioning for a few more days when I kegged and cold conditioned the beer for another 2 weeks. If you followed the video closely, you might have noticed that I left out a very important ingredient for a Mexican hot chocolate stout. Which is that? Instead of using actual cinnamon sticks, I used Amberana wood spirals. I believe this beer wouldn't have come out as nicely as it does right now without it. This is the actual amount that I used in the beer, and it really does help to round out the flavors, but it also provides flavors and aromas of vanilla, cinnamon and other pastries, which is really beneficial for the beer. As you can probably tell, I'm extremely satisfied with the beer and how it came out. But what do professionals think about the beer? I gave it to a couple people among some brewmasters and also professionals and homebrewers to see what they think about it. Ja, also wie ihr sehen könnt, ich bin hier gerade auf der Homebrew Bayreuth im Liebesbier mit meinen guten Freunden Paul und Flo vom Brautag Podcast. Erstmal vielen Dank, dass ihr euch die Zeit genommen habt.
Gerne.
Schön komplexes Bier. Man hat in der Nase die Schärfe, merkt man schon, die sich in diesem Bier verbirgt, so ganz leicht. Aber natürlich dunkle Schokolade, aber so richtig aromatisch. Für mich ist so eine triefende dunkle Schokolade.
Ja.
Kaffeenoten natürlich,
Schärfe.
eine leichte Röstigkeit. Die Schärfe kommt. Die ist gleich da und die bleibt schön konstant.
Ja, genau, die klingt
auf
so schön ab.
auf einem schönen Niveau.
Wenn du es getrunken hast, ne, jetzt mal abseits von den ganzen Aromen, die Schärfe ist ja das, was schon dominiert, aber sie ist so eingebaut, dass du es wunderbar trinken kannst. Und ich finde sogar, sie nimmt nach dem Trinken ganz leicht ab,
Ja.
sodass du wieder trinkst und denkst so,
da
krass,
ist es
okay.
wieder.
Also das Bier ist scharf, für mich absolut in Richtung wunderbarer Vollmilchschokolade unterwegs. Ich habe eine leichte Süße dabei, die mir ganz gut passt, vor allen Dingen auch in der Kombination mit der Schärfe. Hut ab, und wir dürfen natürlich das Amburana-Holz nicht vergessen.
Genau.
Ne? Ist hier vor allen Dingen für mich in der Nase absolut präsent. Ja? Also diese leichte, würzige Vanillenote, zimtig, ganz toll.
Ja, cool. Dann ganz lieben Dank an euch. Ich bin hier heute bei Orca Brau bei meinen Freunden oder mit meinen Freunden Max und Fritz.
Hallöchen.
Das ist Max, der Braumeister.
Guten Tag.
Ja, jetzt würde mich ja einfach mal so interessieren, wie findet ihr das Bier? Einfach ganz ehrlich sein und...
Also ich finde es super rund. Es hat einen echt schönen Körper. Und was ich halt grandios finde, was ich auch immer versuche mittlerweile umzusetzen, ist Röstigkeit rausnehmen, Schokoladigkeit hervorheben, einfach trinkbarer machen. Das finde ich, hast du super geschafft. Und die Chili ist für meinen Geschmack perfekt eingesetzt. Die lagert sich schön in deinem Mund ein, die bleibt da und du hast immer so eine wirklich auch Chili-Aromatik, nicht reine Schärfe, sondern eine richtige Chili-Aromatik, die hinten rauskommt. Also rundum für mich rundes Bier. Also mir schmeckt es mega gut.
Ja, cool, danke. Auch
Und das sage ich, und ich bin sehr ehrlich, Dave.
Ja,
also
ja,
ich
ja.
ich sage, wenn mir was nicht schmeckt.
Ja, also das gehört auf jeden Fall zu deinen besseren Bieren.
Habe ich jetzt schon öfters gehört.
Wunderbar, cremig, ganz toll cremiger Schaum, schönen Schokoladengeschmack durch Malz und auch durch die Kakaonips. Schmeckt für mich eben wie ein sehr bekanntes Bier, ne? Also das Schokowesa, nur halt eben einfach kräftiger in allen Belangen.
I uploaded a full interview on YouTube, so feel free to check it out. And as you know, I fermented this beer in the Mini Uni Plus. And if you want to know my opinion about it, just click here.